Hi, Alfonso. How are you?
Leo, what's
How
going
are you?
on?
Yes, so much of things are going on at the same time. I
You
was
got a
really
lot of
waiting for
things.
you.
Yeah, so I guess I entered the wrong room because I was, just waiting in a room. I don't know if you got my text. I was trying to text you. I'm like, I don't know how to get into I was there for a while. I was just waiting, but
All
I
right. Yeah,
finally
yeah.
I finally discovered that you just have to like click the Zoom, and then
Yes.
and then brought me into here. You know what? Leo, don't feel so bad. We're all trying to learn here. I mean, this is technology. We're forced to learn because of COVID-19. We have no choice, right? It's not like we're trying something. We're now just doing it, right? And there's many types of people. There are people that didn't do anything during COVID-19, and there are the people that the action takers like you, Leo. So good for you. I hope you're having a good event. How's the event going so far?
Of course. It was so amazed, okay, because our numbers were less because it's a first event, of course. But other than that, the content the people have been taking from, of course, it's amazing. Every single speakers came on time, including you and everybody. And at the same time, we exceeded a little bit of time just because of balancing in between. I had about 15 minutes. I chop off that and try to manage that so that it was okay. So it was a real good presentation, even one and a half of the last time. So that is from me, Israel. And now it's yours. And after that, another half an hour we have with that will be concluding by 7 p.m.
So just how long do I have?
You have 90 minutes.
90 minutes. I have 90 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So that brings me into five. What
Yes.
time?
Now it is
Five,
4:45. You are starting. It goes up to for 6:15.
6:15. Okay. So my average presentation is about 52 hours. But I'll see what I'll see what I can do for. I'm just joking. I'll probably come in even just before that. I don't want to take too much of your time, but there's real valuable things that I want to talk about here today. So yeah, I can see some of. Oh yeah, I can see some of the chat. People are writing in the chat. That's excellent. If people have story questions and stuff, we can go back into the chat. So you want me to you lead the way, Leo. What do you want me to do?
Yes, because you gave me the topic, and I love the topic because I've been in that area, and of course, 3 days I was with you and my friends. So I know for sure you are going to deliver good stuff. And at the same time, as an entrepreneur, people should know what else they don't know. Then at least they can find out where else they can get to know about it. So
Beautiful,
you can,
beautiful. Now, so I guess I'll start right now, right?
yes,
Okay, good, good. Well, I wanted to talk about investment and the types of investments that you can make. Um, the three best investments that you can make, number one being yourself. The best investment that you can make is in yourself. Not in buying yourself a brand new vehicle, but the investment up here. No one can take this away. And so I'm famous for investing in myself. I go to seminars, mentoring, coaching. Even though I'm a mentor and a coach, and I feel that I'm at the top of my game. The second I stop investing in myself, that's the moment I start going backwards. So the best investment that you can make is in yourself. That's number one. Number two, and this is why we're all here. We're here to talk about, mastering our business skills, business mastery. And you should be in a position where you are willing to invest, number one, in yourself, but number two, into your business, into new products, new ideas, new developments. I see Leo, he's got a few different, he's leveraging a few of his assets, and he created a few different companies. Like one was a V Coach, and a few other ones that I saw there as well. And so he's definitely expanding. He's in a position of growth. There's only you can only expand and contract. And this is what we were talking about before. During this time of COVID, you have people that just contracted and didn't do anything. They're not investing in themselves. I commend everybody that's on this call right now. because you have taken the time to invest in yourself. Mostly people have not invested in their business. There is people that, you know what, I want to learn about new technologies. I want to jump on Zoom. I want to see how I can deliver my same product online, right? Different ways of delivering the same product. And we're discovering more and more that the world is going to change forever. And so you need to act quickly, and you need to invest into your business, into people, into, you know, creating new product lines. And then ultimately, once, and you're going to do that, you're going to go back and invest into yourself, and you're going to go back and invest into your business. But ultimately, at some point, number 3 is invest into income producing assets. We're talking about passive income, right? So you invest in yourself, you invest into your business, and then you want to invest into income producing assets. So that's what I'm here to talk about today: how to become the ultimate entrepreneur, because it's so easy and people get confused. I'll tell you this right now: anybody with an Instagram account can just simply write entrepreneur on their title, and then all of a sudden they're an entrepreneur. There's a little bit more to it. Now, what is the significance of an entrepreneur? Where an entrepreneur simply means someone that has invested time and capital in order to start a commercial endeavor. So an entrepreneur is just someone that, you know, takes risk with, you know, time and capital to you know, start a business. But what we want to talk about is the ultimate entrepreneur, because we are going to create a distinction between a regular entrepreneur and the ultimate entrepreneur. Now, a little bit of my background. I have 11 companies. All of my companies are producing millions of dollars in revenue. I have a real estate portfolio across Canada, multi-million real estate portfolio across Canada. In fact, right now, I am actually in Saskatoon. I live in Ottawa. I'm in Saskatoon. We are looking at not only new properties that we're going to acquire for our portfolio, but we're looking at our existing properties. So we're here walking and servicing some of our properties, and we do this all across Canada. And I've been in business for 25 years. I've been in real estate for 20 years, and I've built multiple systems that have allowed me to create the life that I want. And that's what we're going to talk about today. In terms of being a speaker, a presenter, a coach, a mentor, I've been doing this for about 14 years now. And I've mentored and coached thousands of people across North America. I've spoken in Asia. I've spoken in Europe. I've spoken in Latin America. I've spoken all throughout North America. And if it wasn't for COVID, I would be probably speaking right now. I'd be on a stage somewhere right now if it wasn't for COVID. COVID taught me something really, really important. You see, my speaking business, speaking and coaching and, you know, workshop business was doing very, very well. And I used to think, you know, that was a recession proof business in terms of, you know what, as long as they don't take away my ability to think and communicate, that business can go on anytime, because it's just me. I just got to show up and deliver the knowledge. But in an instant, you know, March 15th, life changed forever. And that business was gone. No more events, no more speaking, no more keynotes, no more workshops. And so now I had to go back to the drawing board and basically reinvent myself and that part of my business. Now, thank God that I have multiple streams of income, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. But I have multiple streams of income. So when one tap dries up, I have multiple other taps that are going to, you know, continue to flourish and also provide the life that I want, ultimately freedom. But now I had to adjust, and I had to go back and see, how can I do this virtually? How can I do this? Now, virtual is not new, but for me, give me a second there. Yeah, for me, it actually is. I was so used to live. I never took I never did a lot of online events or presentations, and so I started back in March. In fact, I started being very active on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to go check out my YouTube channel. I just started giving content, daily content. People can see what I'm doing. And since March, I grew the channel organically to over 1,000 subscribers. And I think it's because of the content that's there. But I was basically forced to go on YouTube as a result of not being able to do events. And so if you guys want to see some of my videos, really great videos about business, real estate, you guys can go and find me on YouTube, Alfonso Cuadra. And I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Now, I have been doing this for a long time. I wrote a book in 2012. We've sold thousands and thousands of copies. You can find that book on Amazon. It's From the Ground Up. And, you know, I'm just enjoying myself, right? I have students all across North America, and this is something that I do and I love. I have, you know, coaching, one-on-one personal coaching programs, and I can basically take anybody from where they are to not only where they want to be, because the biggest problem is that most people just aim too low. I'm going to get you to aim higher, and I'm going to take you there. And if you can see it and believe it, I will make sure that you get there. So I will be talking about my coaching program towards the end of the presentation. But what are we going to talk about here? How are we going to turn you into this ultimate entrepreneur? Well, I'm going to share my story with you of how I went from being homeless to running multiple million-dollar companies. We'll get into the chart, the ultimate entrepreneur chart, where everybody starts. And then we'll go into what are the skill sets that you need to have, and what are the things that are important that you need to look at in order to become the ultimate entrepreneur. So we want to make sure we can make a distinction between just a regular entrepreneur, self-employed person, to that next level, the ultimate entrepreneur, the leader of leaders. And that's what excites me. You know, if, you know, like I do a lot of consulting with businesses and students, and, you know, a lot of the times they're just doing everything themselves, and, you know, just taking an individual from being a regular entrepreneur, someone that's in business. This is a real statistics. The average entrepreneur does not make, you know, more than $50,000 a year. And it's a common misconception that, you know, people think that the second they get into business, they're going to make all this money, and they're going to sell their app or their website for millions and billions of dollars, and they're just going to be able to relax on a beach somewhere. It's just not true. That's just not how it works. And so there are certain skill sets that you're going to have to develop, especially now that we have COVID-19. Before, we talked about skill sets. Before, you know, I've been doing this for 14 years, and people, you know, I would talk to people, I would say, you know what, you need to learn about sales. You need to learn about leadership. You need to learn about public speaking. You need to learn about all of these things. And people would say, I have no time. I just have no time. And so all of us collectively, globally, have been given a beautiful gift, and that's the gift of time. And so when I talk about becoming the ultimate entrepreneur, there are certain skill sets that you're going to have to work on. And those skill sets now more than ever are going to be important to you, and important to developing your business. So I want to start by sharing a little bit of my story with you. My story started when I was 15 years old. At 15, I was homeless. I was a high school dropout and panhandling for change. And just like a lot of people at 15, you know, they feel that the world is small and it's against them, and that's what I felt. I had a lot of blame. I was angry for a lot of things in my life. You know, I had a lot of dark moments, and you know, it started even before that, because I was born in El Salvador in the 70s, in the midst of of a civil war. My mom was an owner and operator of a newspaper, and this newspaper was very conscious and would write and report on civil rights abuses that were happening with our government. And as you guys know, governments don't like that. And eventually, my mom was completely shut down and illegally detained and brought to prison. Now I'm just 2 years old, and went to live with my grandparents. And these are the times where they were scared of me actually being kidnapped by the government, because they might have wanted to use me as leverage against my mom, right? Because my mom was, she was speaking really against the government, and there's huge violations there with civil rights and human rights. And so they kept me in hiding. And so I, for the ages of 2, 3, 4, and 5, I never went outside. I was never allowed to interact with other kids. And so, I was mostly by myself. And this is why I love to tell people and share that story with people, because I think this is where I got a lot of my imagination. I saw someone asked a question, what country was that? It was El Salvador in Central America. Beautiful country. And ended up, moving around a lot, running away from regimes, war, going back and forth. And, we went to Nicaragua, which is another country in Central America. And that country started another war. So by the time I was 9 years old, basically I've been moving around all over Latin America, and running away from regimes and wars. And we actually came to Canada in 1986. I was 9 years old. We came as landing refugees. I will never forget that moment, coming into Canada as a refugee. 1986, we landed in Vancouver. And I remember that was the first time I actually saw a colored television for the very first time in my life. Never even had a television in my entire life until that moment in Vancouver. And I remember turning on the television, and it was a color television in the hotel, where they were keeping all the refugees. And I remember feeling like, I don't know, there's something about color television when you've never seen it before. I know we're all kind of used to it. We take it for granted. But, seeing that color television for me at 9 years old, for me, I felt abundance and I felt opportunity. And I felt that, Canada was a safe place with a lot of opportunity, and anything was possible here. Now, I did spend a lot of time indoors and in hiding and running away from regimes and wars. And so I missed a lot of educational opportunities. And when it came to integrate into the school system here in Canada, I had issues. Plus, you guys could probably agree. If you agree with me, you can write in the chat room. There was just never anything that resonated with me in school. So if you are someone that didn't resonate with school, you can write it in the chat box as well. We'd love to hear from you. But that was me. Just nothing really resonated with me. I think I was 10 years old when I asked a teacher, what's a mortgage? And the answer I got, it's kind of comical, because the teacher said, well, a mortgage is something you get when you're older. And so even at 10 years old, I knew that answer was unacceptable. And I knew I was on my own to get all the answers. And eventually I got so frustrated with school that at 15, I dropped out of high school. And at 15 years old, I ended up leaving home because of some conflict at home. And I ended up living on the streets. Now I'm 15 years old. This is now in Ottawa. I'm 15 years old, completely homeless. I had a lot of dark moments, just like a lot of people on this call right now has had a dark moment in their life. It's not just me. We've all had that moment, that defining moment or maybe it wasn't defining. Maybe it was just your lowest point. And that, that's what I went through at 15 years old. I was homeless, a high school dropout, panhandling for change. Everybody in the entire world was responsible for why, my life was that way. I was extremely angry at the world. I remember I grew up with no father. Actually, my father left when I was 2 years old. So I was at the very lowest point. And the reason I share that with you is that, especially now, COVID-19 has been a blessing for some people. But if you're watching this and you're either watching it because you need to restart your business, or you need to restart your life, or this is a new start for you, whatever it is, because, you know, COVID-19 has destroyed your business in some way. I mean, not every business was COVID-19 proof. If you're in the, you know, if you're in gyms, if you're in restaurants, if you're, you know, if you're in travel, and if you're in those type of industries, you might have to restart. And losing your business can be extremely hard for a lot of people. That's their dreams. That's everything they had. Maybe you're watching this and maybe you didn't have a dark moment. Maybe COVID-19 was a blessing for you, but you've had a dark moment in your life, or you're going through a divorce, a restart of some sort. And so all I can tell you is that we all have been there, including myself. At 15, that was probably my lowest point, panhandling on the street for change, sleeping in banks and on park benches. And I felt really lost. Now, I did have a life-changing moment. I did have a day that, you know, changed everything for me. And that was the day I became a father. At 15 years old, my girlfriend at the time tells me she's pregnant and she's going to keep the baby, and it's mine. And, you know, what was I going to do? All I remembered is that my dad left me when I was 2 years old, and I did not want to repeat that. You know, I didn't want to be the absent father or the father that wasn't there, because I know what that felt like. And so, you know, I said, I'm going to step up. But I didn't really know what that meant. I had no clue what that meant. It was in the Mumford Hospital in Ottawa. And my little girl was born. I was 17 years old, 17. So if you can imagine, take yourself back to when you were 17 and think about if you were in that position to be fathering kids. Now, I do a lot of talks, and, you know, I share this story with a lot of high school kids, and absolutely, we're not promoting for kids to have kids, or we're not promoting for people to have kids, but it is life-changing if you're in a position to, you know, if you can absorb that. And for me, it was extremely life-changing having that little girl, looking at that little girl, and it just changed my life. You know, she's obviously old now. She's 20, well, not that old, but she's 25 years old now. And every time I look at her name is Talia. And I said, you know what? You're my guardian angel. You came and you changed my life forever. Because the second they put this little girl in my arms, I knew that I had to change. I knew I had to change. And I knew I had to stop blaming the world for my problems. I remember even that day going into the bathroom in the hospital and looking at myself in the mirror and just having that conversation with myself that, you know what, all the issues in my life were because of me. And if things were going to change in my life, I'm going to have to change. And I looked at myself like directly into the mirror and I said, Alfonso, you have to change. And that is a message that I've been telling people forever. Sometimes you have to stand in your truth. There's power in acceptance. When all this thing happened back in March with COVID-19, you know, I did a video. You guys can go watch it on my YouTube channel. But it was basically, you know, sharing with people the process that I go through when anything challenging happens in my life. And the first one is not in being in denial, because it's, you know, people get positivity and being and actually the truth. They get that mixed up and they're like, oh, there's nothing wrong. Oh, this is just COVID. We're going to be back to normal by summer. We're going to be back to normal by October. And so back in March, if you go back and watch that video, I have 3 major steps that you need to take. And that first step was stand in your truth. Realize that life will never be the same again. You have to accept it. You need to accept it that you, whatever the situation you're in, is because of the decisions you've made. And so I've been through this restart multiple different times in my life, and I'm going to share with some of those restarts with you and how I came out of it. But ultimately, it needs to start with you and your ability to accept the circumstance, deal with whatever it is, accept it as this is what it is. It's my fault or whatever. I know we can't control COVID-19, but we can control how we react to it. And if we're in a position where something happened in our business, you have to take responsibility, and maybe it's just standing in your truth. It is what it is. And you know what? This is how I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to make sure that this will never happen again. One of the ways is to create multiple streams of income in multiple different industries. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about becoming the ultimate entrepreneur. But that's what I did, going back to that 17, looking at myself into the mirror, and I took it, I accepted my truth. And the truth was, the reason I was in that situation was because of me. And the only person that could change it was going to be me. And so I remember looking at this little girl, my little angel, okay, that's what we'll call her. And I remember looking at her and thinking to myself, I want this little girl to be proud of me. I want her to say, my dad owns the building, not my dad cleans the building or is incarcerated in the building. Because that's where I was headed. I was headed, either I was going to end up dead or in jail or just average. And what's wrong with average? Well, you know what? We are not fulfilling our true potential. And as everybody on this call knows, we are limitless beings. And if we could all just tap into a little bit more of our potential, we would, there would be a renaissance on earth. And so, that's where I was headed. And I was scared because I wanted this little girl to one day say, you know what, my dad, and I wanted her to be, to be proud of me. And so that gave me that moment. I discovered purpose, and I discovered that I had a why. And that's the key. No matter how down you are right now, COVID-19 or whatever the catastrophe in your life is going to be, divorce or whatever, it can all start right now if you have a strong enough goal and a powerful why. That why is going to take you anywhere. It's like purpose. It's like that lady, for a lot of the times I heard this interview about this woman that was being interviewed, and the interviewer said, you're a president, and this lady was really successful, president of a publicly traded company, and really at the top of her game. And she was being interviewed for an article. I don't know if it was on. I really don't know if it was on a televised interview or it was just an article in a magazine. But from my memory, the interviewer asked this lady, like, how did you make it? You didn't even finish high school. So apparently she didn't finish high school. And now she's running this publicly traded company, CEO of this publicly traded company. And she said, well, one day, when I was married a very long time ago, I asked my husband for $10 and he said, for what? And she said, by the end of that day, she said, I knew that I would never ask again. And so something like that is so powerful. It can drive a person. And it doesn't have to be, to discover your why, you don't have to have kids, you don't have to, have some of those dramatic experiences. But maybe it's something small, like, negative Uncle Billy Bob told you, you will never make it. And then you say to yourself, well, I'm going to show him, right? And if it's a visual that you can hold on to, it's definitely going to drive you forward. A why powerful enough will make you unstoppable. A why powerful enough will make you unstoppable. And most of the time, the reason people do not achieve the things that they're looking for is because they're going after the wrong things for the wrong reasons. And so you need to sit down and figure out, okay, these are the goals that I want, but now go back and do the work on the why. Why is it that I want these goals? And at the very beginning, you know, some of you may start doing that work and trying to figure out what your why is, and you may get it right away. It's like, okay, you know, it's this reason, or it's because of this, or because of that. Some of me may be your kids, and that's good too, but you don't, it doesn't have to be your kids. It needs to be something very personal to you. For me, it happened that I was 17, and you know, my daughter was born, and that was like a defining moment in my life where I said, you know what, I have to do something with my life because I want to see this little girl. I want to see her proud of me. But now she's 25 years old, and you know, my goals have evolved and my why has evolved. So just how your goals can evolve, so can your why. But a why powerful enough will make you unstoppable. So I'm sitting there, I discovered my why. I decided to go back to high school, and I got a job, and that job was not a great job. It was a job that paid $5 an hour. If you can imagine, some of you might remember when minimum wage was $5 an hour. That's how I started. That was my value in the marketplace. My value in the marketplace was $5 an hour. Now, I was not an academic, and I knew that I had very limited choices. I did not see myself going to university. And so as a necessity, because $5 an hour is really difficult to try to provide for a small family and still try to go to school full time. So I was going to school full time and I had a full-time job, and I had, you know, this little girl. And so as a necessity, I started a business at 17 years old. And so at 17 years old, I started my very first business. And I remember I would sell jeans, t-shirts, and mixtapes from my locker in high school. I would take a bus to major centers like Toronto, bring it back to Ottawa. And for a lot of you that remember high school, if you can remember that kid with the backpack with always something to sell in the backpack. Actually, if you remember high school and you remember that kid in your high school with always selling something from the backpack, legal stuff, write in the chat room, give me a thumbs up if you remember that. But that was me. That was me. I was, 17 years old, and, that was my first business. And my dream was to have my very own physical location. And so when I graduated high school, I graduated at 19 years old with a vision and a dream to sold stuff at 15. That's great. Yes. Hats off. Yes. That's really good. Yeah. So, I had a vision and a goal of opening my very own store. And the reason I had that is because I discovered the power in profits. And if you guys are taking notes right now, which I suggest you do, I want you to put it at the top of your page. I want you to write the power of profits. Because at 17 years old, I had that lesson. And I discovered the differences between wages versus profits. And so my market value at that time was $5 an hour. But I could make $40 profit selling a pair of jeans that I bought for $20 for $60, making a $40 profit in a 10-minute transaction. And so from 17 years old, I knew that I was going to pursue profits for the rest of my life. That's the power of profit. And so I graduated high school with a dream, a vision, and an idea of opening my very own physical location. And of course, I started to talk to people. I started to share my ideas with people, and they would say, nah, there's a recession, there's this, there's that. They gave me all the reasons why I shouldn't pursue my dreams. They said, oh, you have no money, no credit, you need a MBA, you need all the things they were scared of. Those are the things that were projected on me. I had to change my approach, and I think a lot of you should change your approach, because your approach usually is you talk to the people around you and you ask for their opinion. And what happens? People give you their fears, and they project their fears onto you. If you want to listen to people and you want to get people's opinion, you should reach out to people that have the goals that you are looking for and ask those people their opinion or what they think, if the people have the results that you want. But often we just ask everyone. And that's what I did. I used to ask everyone, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? And everybody would say, no, the recession, you have no skills, you have no money, you have no da, 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 da. They give me all the reasons why not. And so I changed my approach. I started telling people, September 1st, I'm opening my store. Would you like to invest? So instead of asking people, I started telling people, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to participate and be involved? And of course, 96% of the people said, Alfonso, you're crazy. We're not interested. Like, it's not going to work. A few people, 4% actually said, yeah, I'll invest $100, $200, $50. And that was my very first joint venture that I did. And it didn't raise very much. I raised about $2,700, $2,700. I started my business in 1996. By the time I had a physical location, it was 1998 with $2,700. And I know Leo gave me a strong timeline here, so I'm not going to get into too much of it. But I'll tell you this, to make the long story short, I took those $2,700, thanks to friends, and I turned it into a company grossing in the millions with locations all across Canada. And I fell in love with being an entrepreneur. I really fell in love with, being an entrepreneur. And I remember that I'm like, I know where I fit in life. I discovered where I fit in life. And before 21 years old, I'd figured out how to make money. But making money, if just making money was the end goal, then it's easy. Anybody can make money. Money is the easiest thing to create. Truly, it is. But there's steps to creating wealth. And I was still poor-minded. I did not have the investor mindset. I had the consumer mindset. So imagine you guys, and please, I want you guys to be honest with me. If you can go back to 21 years old, and if you had all of this money, what would you do with it? I want you to write it in the chat box. I want to see what you would do with it. I was not responsible with the money that I made. I figured out how to make money, but I was spending the money on consumer goods, cars, jewelry, clothing, lifestyle. None of it was going toward investing. To me, at 21, I was, so give it to your parents. I gave everything. I did all the wrong things. Not that my parents don't deserve it, but remember, here it is. What was number one? We started with this, the top 3 investments. Invest back into yourself. Invest back into this, because if you can invest to this, then that means you can give your parents money forever. For me, I was giving money to my parents. I was giving money to everyone, but I was not investing in myself. I was not growing. And so the result was I burned through all the money. And so now I'm almost 24 years old, and my company is about $1 million in debt, in the negative. And so because I was inexperienced, because I was still very much a consumer, I just kind of, and because I was afraid of judgment, which judgment stops a lot of people. And think about it. I came into this money. I've been poor my entire life. I came into money at 21, and I almost blew it all. And now I'm at a point where I'm almost going to have to go bankrupt. I had moved to Miami, so I lived in Miami, Florida, for a while. And if you guys if you guys are you know, either from the U.S., anybody on this call is from the U.S. or lived in Miami, it's a good place, but it's an expensive place. And my business was in Canada, and I'm like living this lifestyle, Hugh Hefner lifestyle in Miami, just burning money basically. And so the situation was getting worse, and I was very much in denial. Remember what I told you? Step number one was acceptance, stand in your truth. And I did not stand in my truth. The situation was getting worse. And I did have a life-changing moment in Miami where I met my mentor. And this person was wealthy. I mean, he had really nice things, but he had built a really crazy business. And the business was providing income, passive income, and it was going to provide income for the rest of his life. And I remember thinking, that's interesting. And I started to ask a lot of questions. And he gave me some books to read. You know, this is, so my early 20s, this is when I discovered Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the Babylon, what's that book? I can't remember. The Babylons Must Be Crazy, or the craziest guy the wealthiest guy in Babylon. All of these books, all of the wealth of these books. Remember I told you I was not an academic? Well, in school, I never read any books. But the second I started to read these books, I was hooked. As a result, I read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Richest Man in Babylon. Thank you, Rakesh. As a result, I've read hundreds and hundreds, like probably close to 500 books. Never read a book in my life, all through my high school career. Up until that moment, my mentor gave me those books, and it started to change my mindset. Everything started to change at that moment for me. And then I decided to come back to Ottawa. And I remember having that conversation with my accountant, and my accountant saying, you know what, you're going to have to go bankrupt. And I remember saying to myself, well, I accept it. I'll stand in my truth. In a sense, I needed to take responsibility for all my mistakes. I needed to take responsibility, even though no one ever taught me about being, investing in myself and investing in my business and investing into income producing assets. No one ever taught me that. But that's not an excuse, right? Because the second I knew, now I can take a different direction. And so I decided to fight for my business. I went back and rebuilt my business. And, I sold everything. I sold the cars, the jewelry, everything. And then I was basically had to restart, right? I had to restart from the very beginning, from scratch. I was working and trying to rebuild my business. But this second time, what I wanted to do, and I said to myself, I will never, ever, 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 ever be in a position like this ever again. Because I am going to create a second stream. And you guys can write this down if you're taking notes. The power of the second stream. The power of multiple streams. And I said to myself, I'm going to create a second stream that is Armageddon proof. Because why did my business fail? Well, one, I had the consumer mindset. But two, we went through that mini contraction in the early 2000s, right after 9/11. It was a bit of a mini contraction. People stopped buying. People stopped purchasing. Flights were landed. No one was going anywhere. And so I was not equipped because I didn't have a second stream. And so my issue was I didn't have multiple streams. So the second industry got affected, and I was, I had all my eggs in one basket. Like I almost lost everything. So my second stream, I wanted to be in indestructible stream, in Armageddon proof type of stream. And that's why I chose real estate about 20 years ago. I chose real estate, and I said to myself, you know what, at the end of the day, everybody will have to live somewhere. And so I started building that portfolio. I did meet another mentor at that time. I reached out to another mentor, and this is, if you're going to take anything away from this small presentation here today, is the power of mentorship and coaching, because that really has changed my life, has given me a very different perspective. And so the power of mentorship, the power of coaching. I reached out to somebody in my city that was doing real estate, and it was doing it in a very big way. And at the very beginning, they didn't want to hear from me, but I was very persistent, and I offered to pay, right? So at one point, I was paying about $10,000 a month, but it was worth it, because that initial coaching, mentoring, seminars, everything that I did from the very beginning, back in the early 2000s, is the reason why I'm a millionaire now, and I'm in a position to help people, support people, create wealth, show people how to create wealth, generational wealth. And so I suggest that everybody here, takes the time and figures out what is it they want to know about, what do they want to learn. Reach out to people that have the results that they're looking for, and ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask for mentorship. It doesn't matter the cost, because the cost of staying where you are, the cost of being the same, that is something that is not only going to cost you money, but it's going to cost you time. And as everybody knows, time is the most valuable thing that we have. And so I reached out to that mentor, that coach that I had at that time. And as a result, in my first year of real estate, I ended up buying 10 properties. And every year I've doubled it until now. I look back, it's like, it's truly amazing. I built a portfolio across Canada of apartment buildings. Just yesterday, I was looking at a 248 apartment building, brand new, $55 million. And at some point, sometimes I have to pinch myself that this is my life. And this can be your life. This can be your life too. And so what did I realize? That, for things in my life, first, for things to change in my life, first I had to change. And the truth is that if you're willing to accept that you are responsible for your life, everything in your life will change. In the power of overcoming any obstacle, COVID-19, the power of overcoming any circumstance in your life is actually in your hands. And so I've developed multiple different programs. If you guys want to go pick up my book, I talk about the philosophy of goals and my special strategic plan and how to get there. And so I have 3 basic steps. And if you want to pick up that book, you can go to Amazon, type in Amazon, Alfonso Cuadra. The book is the name of the book is From the Ground Up. Go back and see if you enjoy that book. Simple 3 steps. Step number 1, you need to figure out what you want. That's number 1. Figure out what you want. Step number 2, you need to figure out who is the you that has everything you want. You see, everybody has goals. By the way, let's talk about goals for just a moment. Most people's goals are too small. That's the problem with goals. They just aim too low. So you have to aim higher, but your actions must meet it. And so what most books, what most systems lack is in the power of the who. Who is the you that is living this life of your dreams? Who is the you that matches everything you want? Who is that you? What do you look like? And there has to be a corresponding vision of that person in your mind. Like, what do you talk? How do you talk? How do you walk? How do you dress? What's your hair look like? Everything is going to change. In fact, we change completely. Even our entire bodies changes completely. We're all new cells after 7 years. And so that means we're evolving. And so you are not the same person you were last year. You're not the same person you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And so you almost have to look ahead. And so you need to ask yourself, in 5 years from now, where do I want to be as a result of what we're doing here today? And so you almost need to bring that from the reach into the future and bring it right now and figure out who is the you that is living that life 5 years from today. And so your goals are important, but you need to match who you are. And then lastly, you need to become that person now. Once you understand who you need to become, and we're going to talk a lot about who today when we get into becoming the ultimate entrepreneur. But once you understand who is the you that has that life of your dreams from your perspective, you now can become that person right now. The second you decide to become, that's when you have the power to move mountains. When you decide to become, you start to attract all the right circumstances, the right ideas, the right people, the right joint ventures, the right multiple streams, the right mentors, the right coaches, the right friends, the right relationships, the right health, the right everything to match the person you have just become. It's only natural. Success is what you attract by the person you become. That is essentially my favorite quote by my favorite mentor, Jim Rohn. Success is what you become by the person. Success is what you attract by the person you become. Success is what you attract by the person you become. Think if you can write that down and look at that, and essentially that's the code, the secret code to life. Everything you like, everything you want in life, you can attract by becoming. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about becoming the ultimate entrepreneur. And so let's talk a little bit about how it starts, because most of us run around day to day with that 40-40 plan. 96% of the people out there will never be an entrepreneur. And by the way, if being an entrepreneur is something that doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. That's completely fine. It's not for everyone. And I want you to write this down. Entrepreneur. There's people that flourish within an organization that are not entrepreneurs. They are not in business, but they still are extremely successful. So you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be successful. That's not what we're saying at all. But the characteristics of an entrepreneur are things that you can adapt and become an entrepreneur, someone that is extremely successful within an organization. For example, my daughter, I have two daughters, by the way. The oldest one is 25. Her name is Talia. You met her just a while ago when I told you my story when I was 17. And then I have a 14-year-old, Alicia. But the oldest one, Talia, at the very beginning, I said, you should look into, being an entrepreneur. And she just said, she tried a few things and she's like, Dad, would you be upset if I wasn't an entrepreneur? And I said, you know what, honey, you don't have to be like me, right? And her, the way, what she said is she still wants to be a salesperson. She still wants to be a public speaker. She still wants to invest in herself. She still wants to invest into passive income. But she just doesn't like, for whatever reason, doesn't want to have a business. She flourishes under, a different business or someone else's business, and she can do just fine. And so you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be successful. But you do need some of the skilled traits, and we'll talk about that. So, at the very beginning, it starts off with the employee, the 40-40 plan. JOB, just over broke, and 96% of the people are on that 40-40 plan. If you don't know what the 40-40 plan, you can probably write it down. 40 hours for 40 years of your life. And most people, that's their life. I was in Greece, and I remember, I was in Greece in my late 30s, and I remember talking to people there, and a lot of the people in Greece, they're walking around, they're 65 or 70 or 75, and they're like, yeah, this was our dream back in 1965. We wanted to come to Greece, and now we're here, but now we got to go take a nap, right? Because now they have no energy to enjoy their life. A life is meant to be enjoyed all the time. Don't spend the best years of your life just working behind a computer or a cubicle. And so what is the point of becoming the ultimate entrepreneur? Is so you create time. Time is the most valuable asset that we have. And with time, you can do beautiful things. You can travel the world. You can change the world. You can help people. You can start organizations. In fact, I started an organization. You guys can, if you want to support me, it's called the Cuadra Youth Foundation. We focus on financial literacy for young people. You can find it on Facebook. But, you know, that's what time does. But 40-40 plan, that's the JOB. And most of the time, people start off as consumers. They have the consumer mindset because they're spending all their time working and at this job, so they need instant gratification. They want to have this stuff now, and so they get, you know, the boat, the car, the trips. They put it all on credit because they want that instant gratification, because they know they're stuck at this job for the next 40 years, and so they will never get out of debt. They become a slave to all these depreciating assets and things that take money out of your pocket. You know, they're a slave to their payments, their cell phones, their mortgage, all this stuff, and they will never be able to do anything until they turn 65, 70, where they may or may not, depending how you take care of yourself, but you may or may not have the energy to enjoy it at that time. So everybody starts there. You know, they're just, you know, living day by day. The world sometimes, you know, a lot of people, they are a paycheck to paycheck, right? And they're just on that rat race, right? And so the next logical step is normal. Someone has an idea. They want to start a business. They want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. They want to start a pizza shop. They want to buy a Subway franchise. It really doesn't matter. But everybody starts the same. They are the self-employed. The first step of becoming an entrepreneur is usually the self-employed. You are doing everything yourself. You are, you know, your operator. You have the 6 hat syndrome. You ever heard that? The 6 hat syndrome. You're the cleaner. You're up front, in the back. You do accounting. You do everything, right? You were in 6 hats. And so what most people don't know is that first step is really hard. Going from an employee to becoming an entrepreneur, being a business owner, that's extremely hard. And if you are going to be self-employed, you are no longer on the 40-40 plan. You are now, my friends, you are now on the 50-50 plan. 50 hours a week and probably more for 50 years of your life, with no benefits, nothing. And so this is a big shock for a lot of people. They think that, yeah, I'm going to be in business. I'm going to have all this time to myself. But if you don't become the ultimate entrepreneur, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, if you don't go to the next level and you get stuck in just that business, that self-employed, that solopreneur lifestyle, you are going to work more hours. You know, and maybe you're better off. Sometimes it depends on the business. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, if you enjoy what you're doing and you're good at it, and that probably fulfills you. Fulfillment is more important than anything else when it comes to a career. But, you know, that this could be the specialist, the doctor, the lawyer. You own a job. So I want you to write that. So the first step is the employee, 40-40. You know, consumer mindset. The next step is the self-employed. The very first step of becoming an entrepreneur, that beginner level, that business owner, that self-employed. I want you to write underneath that, you own your job. So the first one, you have a job. And the second one, you own your job. Now, the next step is why we're all here. We're here for business mastery. The next step is about becoming the ultimate entrepreneur. Because the ultimate entrepreneur, you are now the leader of leaders. You manage other managers. You own a system. Either you created a system that you own and you can duplicate, because that's powerful. You own a system. You own your own time. You focus primarily on the return on investment. You're not focused on the cost. All ultimate entrepreneurs are ultimately looking for a higher return on investment. This is why I got into real estate. You have multiple sources of income. You have the investor mindset, and we talked about that earlier, the differences between being a consumer mindset to the investor mindset. And you work, here's an important one. You work on the business, not in the business. So number one, the first stage, you have a job, you work for the business. The second stage, right? You're the solopreneur, the self-employed. You are working in the business. And then the last one, becoming the ultimate entrepreneur, you are working on the business. You are overseeing. What does this mean? You have now time to think for, how to grow the business. You have now time for yourself and re-energize. And so you can give value to your employees, your investors, your people, your tenants, your clients. You can now think, because when you're in the business, you can't think. It's very hard to see the picture while you're in the frame. And so the majority of people, when they become business owners, when they become entrepreneurs, they get into the frame and they can't get out, because they say to themselves, no one can do it better than I could. Maybe it's something you're really passionate about, and you say to yourself, no one could take care of my clients better than I could. And so I want you to write this down. If you have said something like that, in the lifetime of your business, you are in the way of growing that business. You are the reason why that business has not become global or national. Because if you think you are the only person on earth that can take care of that business, you've just handcuffed yourself to that business, and you will never be able to become the ultimate entrepreneur. So lastly, I wanted to say that to become the ultimate entrepreneur, you need to build businesses that are completely transferable. Meaning, if your business cannot survive without you, you do not have a business. You are still self-employed. All of your businesses, if you're going to create multiple streams of income, all of those businesses need to have managers and leaders. And all of those businesses need to be able to survive without you. And this is what when I go through some of the coaching and mentoring with a lot of my students, that's the very first thing that we do. We get them out of their own way. Success is possible for everyone if you are willing to get out of your own way. So, what is the ultimate entrepreneur? And how do you become the ultimate entrepreneur? So number one, you have to become a leader of leaders. In our organization, the Cuadra Group of companies. So we have the Cuadra Group, and we have all these other companies that support the Cuadra Group, and we have employees that work within these companies. And any time I'm doing an interview for a new employee or anybody that works on our staff, they all know we are not looking for employees. We are not looking for people to check out at 5 p.m. We are not looking for employees. We are looking for leaders within our organization. So the only way to truly become an ultimate entrepreneur, you have to become a leader of leaders. You have to cultivate other leaders. Often, I train my staff on leadership, on sales. I give them all the skills on becoming an entrepreneur. There was a saying, I saw this on a meme, actually. It was the CEO that said, we need to train our people. And then the CFO said, well, what happens if we train our people and they leave? And the CEO says, what happens if we don't and they stay? Because ultimately, what makes a good company? Good people, good systems, and a good product. But let's go back to number one, people. And if these people are not happy, they don't feel fulfilled, you are not going to have a strong company. A company is only as good as their people. Name one company out there that you know that is great, that is small. Companies, you need organized people. You need to organize people. You need to be able to inspire them for them to be their best. And the only way they can be their best if they become leaders. If you empower people so they can make decisions on their own without you, okay, maybe you're the owner, you're the CEO, it doesn't matter. But you are micromanaging these people, you will never get out of being a solopreneur, an entrepreneur. You will never go to that next step, which is being the ultimate entrepreneur. The ultimate entrepreneur is a time master. You have to learn how to master your time, and you also own other people's time, right? So if it's all dependent on your time, what you can do, you only have 24 hours. You need to be able to leverage other people's time. Someone like Richard Branson that, employs 100,000 people around the world. Sorry, I'm getting some messages here. 6:15. I think we're still okay.
You have enough time. You can go even a little more.
Okay. What's that? What was that?
You can go even a little more, up to 6:20, 6:25 if you wish.
Okay, no problem. You know what? I'm punctual. We're talking about time here, and you gotta be punctual. But someone like Richard Branson owns, he employs 100,000 people. He owns a lot of time, and so to be a true time master, you have to learn how to leverage other people's time. If it's just about your time, your resources, your money, your credit, you're going to be very limited, and you'll never be able to grow. The ultimate entrepreneur is the action taker. The action taker. When you see something you like, you do, boom, you take action. Most people have issues making decisions. 96% of the people out there are where they are, not because of lack of opportunities, is because they allow the smallest little things cheat them out of big opportunities. And so most people do not make decisions. They don't know how to make decisions. Ultimate entrepreneurs make decisions quickly, and they change their mind slowly. Ultimate entrepreneurs simplify their life. If you think about all the ultimate entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs, Oprah, whoever you want to put into there, Elon Musk, all these people simplify their lives. Steve Jobs wore the same black sweater and the same mom jeans for many years. They want to simplify their lives. They don't get caught up with the small decisions, because what happens? You end up spending mental resources on things that are insignificant. And when it comes to time to make the big decisions, you have no energy left. You have no more mental resources left, and you can't make those big decisions in your life. And so to become the ultimate entrepreneur, you have to be an action taker and make decisions quickly. One good book that I will suggest is the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. The 5-second rule, go and get it. It's all about the power of making decisions. And so you do have to become an action taker if you want to become the ultimate entrepreneur. The ultimate entrepreneur has the investor mindset. And what does that mean? The ultimate entrepreneur thinks of their entire life is based on this investor mindset. And we see this all the time. People win the lottery, and within 3 years, they lose everything, right? Most people that win the lottery within 3 to 5 years are back even worse than where they were before they won the lottery. What does this mean? They never changed. They were still the same person. They were very consumer-based people versus investor-minded people. And so if you want to become the ultimate entrepreneur, you need to have the investor mindset. You need to look at the world as an investor. Most people, the consumers make money, buy stuff. The investors make money, they take that money and they invest it into assets, which create more money. And then they buy even more assets, which create even more money, and they buy even more assets. And so you need to make sure that you have that investor mindset. On my YouTube channel, you can go on YouTube and type in Alfonso Cuadra. You go on my channel. I have a video. It's about 10 minutes, and I go through the differences between the consumer mindset versus the investor mindset. This is something important that you should know about and learn about. Most of the time, what stops people is their mindset. The ultimate entrepreneur has multiple sources of income. And so there's different sources. There's, if you have a business, you should look for symbiotic sources of income that can support your business. For example, I see what Leo's doing. He's got software sorry, Leo, are you there? What's your business?
Yeah, I have a software development company. Before that, I started a matrimony business, which created the software.
Yeah, so you basically leveraged, your assets, your people, to do multiple different businesses that are symbiotic. And so here's the key. There's going to be two types of multiple streams. One is an active earned stream, and the other one is a passive streams. So I want you to write this down. If you're taking notes, I want you to write, if they're going to be active, meaning it requires your participation, they should be symbiotic to what you're doing. Now, passive streams could be in multiple different streams. But here's the key about passive streams. Passive streams should provide an income. So you need to look for income producing assets that provide passive income. That's what I do. And that's why I chose real estate. Now, I do have multiple different businesses, but I have one massive stream that provides income no matter what. COVID-19, Heineken 19, it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to receive this income. So most ultimate entrepreneurs have multiple sources of income. The ultimate entrepreneur is a sales master. Do everything in your power to learn about sales. If you think you're a good salesperson, actually, I'm really interested to see. If you think you're a good salesperson, type in, I'm a really good salesperson in the chat box so I can see. But even if you think you can sell ice to an Eskimo, you should always get better. Reach for more books on sales and become a true sales master. All ultimate entrepreneurs, even though they might not be on the front line selling, you should be a sales master, and you should learn how to train your staff on sales. Most businesses lack sales. They do everything else right, but they forget the top line. The top line is that revenue line. And what drives that revenue line for all businesses? That's sales. And so if you become a sales master and you can train and help your staff become sales masters, your business will flourish because you will have the one key ingredient that all businesses need: sales. The ultimate entrepreneur is a master marketer. You don't only need to market your business, but you also need to market yourself as the leader and continue to build and spend time on marketing. You see, the marketing is what generates leads in order for you to create sales. People do not invest enough in marketing, and all marketing works. Get out there, get on every newspaper, every article, social media. I don't want to hear, oh, I don't want to do TikTok. By the way, since we're having this conversation, I have a TikTok account, and if you don't have a TikTok, get an account and make sure to follow me at Alfonso Cuadra. We'll have a lot of fun, but I'm getting incredible results from TikTok. As you know, a lot of people are leaving Facebook and they're leaving Instagram, but TikTok is growing faster than Facebook ever grew. That's just a little inside tip when it comes to marketing. The ultimate entrepreneur is a master communicator. My good friends, if you do not know how to present, if you don't have those presentation skills, those public speaking skills, you are affecting your business. You are in the way of your business. You should be able to stand up in front of a group of people and articulate exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how it benefits the people in the audience. You need to have those skills. And if you feel like you're a really good public speaker, you know what? Continue to develop those skills. I have a speaking mentor, and I've had multiple speaking coaches, but one of them said something really powerful. He said, Alfonso, do you know that the stage is the most powerful piece of real estate? And I said, really? Like, why is that? He said, well, from the stage, people have started wars. From the stage, people have ended wars. From the stage, people have created change. From the stage, people have sold millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of product. So the stage is the most powerful piece of real estate. And if you can master the stage, you can master anything. The person on stage will always get the business. That cannot be disputed. The person that stands up and is able to articulate their product will always sell more than the person that cannot. The person at the job that can stand up and articulate their opinions, their thoughts, those are the people that will get promoted. Not the smartest person in the room, the person that can stand up and simply communicate with a group of people. And so you need to develop this skill. That's what's going to make you the ultimate entrepreneur. The ultimate entrepreneur is a master goal setter. The ultimate entrepreneur is a master goal setter. You need to learn how to set and achieve goals. There's many books on that. I do a lot of training on that with my students. I have retreats. If you guys are interested in those retreats, we'll talk about that in just a moment. What's next? The ultimate entrepreneur is a problem solver. I want you to look at yourself as a professional problem solver. And if you can solve other people's problems, yours will be automatic. That's how I go into any negotiation. That's how I communicate with anybody. I'm like, okay, these people, they have a problem. How can I be of service? Basically, my entire life consists of how can I be of service to others? How can I be a problem solver? Why am I on this? Why am I doing this right now? Why am I taking time on a Saturday to sit here and communicate this information with you? Because I want to be of service to you. I want to be in a position where I can help you. And I know that if you get anything out of this presentation, you will go and pass it forward. You're going to pass it on and you're going to help other people. And that's how I feel that I can create change. And so you have to look at yourself as a professional problem solver. The ultimate entrepreneur understands the power of leverage. Creating wealth with other people's money, other people's time, other people's efforts. You have to learn how to leverage, and don't be afraid to ask for help. The ultimate entrepreneur builds power teams. This is important. You have to find all the best people and put them together, organize these people for the betterment of the organization. Remember, the best companies are simply good people, good process, and a good product. The ultimate entrepreneur builds wealth. You'd be surprised. People that are wealthy do not pursue money. They want to grow organizations. I'm looking to employ more people. I'm not trying to employ less people to see how much profit I have at the end of the day, even though that's the objective of the company, and the company needs profit. But I also want to invest back into the business. We'll go back to the way it started. Remember, invest in yourself, invest back into your business, and invest into income producing assets. Most people, once they build the business, they never go back and invest into the people, invest into the process, invest into new technology, invest into new products. And what happens? They become dinosaurs. Go ask Blockbuster what that's like. The ultimate entrepreneur works for assets, not money. The investor mindset type people, we are looking for assets, income producing assets. We're not looking to make more money. And here is the key. The ultimate entrepreneur spends their time with other ultimate entrepreneurs. And this goes back to something Jim Rohn said. You're the average sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You have the average relationships, the average finances, the average health, the average spirituality, the average of everything of the people you spend the most time with. And so you need to take real inventory on the people you're spending time with, and you'll realize why you are where you are. Show me your friends, and I'm going to show you your future. You're the average sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That means you should spend the most time with all other ultimate entrepreneurs, people that have the results that you are looking for. And so that brings me to what I wanted to offer you today. I spend a lot of time mentoring people, and my mentorship program is about $30,000. It's a private program, and I spend a lot of time one-on-one with people, developing a lot of these skills, public speaking, everything. Now, again, I don't want to sell you anything on this. I told Leo, you know what, I'm going to keep it very relaxed. If you are interested, I have made it more affordable. It's going to be not $30,000, but $10,000. I'm going to give you an email, info@alfonsocuadra.com. That's info@alfonsocuadra.com. We need to have an interview. This is not a scalable thing. It needs to be the right fit. Is this mentorship program for you? Are you the type of person that can really elevate and take your business to the next level? Whatever your goals are, I'm going to, go 10 times, 10x your goals, and make sure you get there. What's that worth to you? I don't know. We need to have a discussion. So basically, you send me an email, info@alfonsocuadra.com. In the title, I want you to write business mastery. Also, you can go, you can reach out to Leo, and we'll set up an interview, and we'll see if this is something for you. The reason why I've made it inexpensive, I know Leo had requested, can you give a bit of a discount for our people? And I said, that's no problem. But I said, Leo, I'm not selling anything. This is not me trying to, bring on, 100 people. This is a very select few amounts of people that can actually, and number one, my time is very limited. So I need to spend that time with my family, working on my businesses. And so very select few people are actually in a position to do this. If you want to have a conversation, if this is something for you, if you are in business, you have a business, you want to develop your business, you want to take your business to the next level, and you feel like you're ready to get out of that entrepreneur spot and get into become an ultimate entrepreneur, send me that email, info@alfonsocuadra.com. I'll probably write it in the chat. We will open it up for some questions if there's time. Leo, I don't know if there's time, but you'll let me know. But you know what? What's that?
Yeah, we can go for questions. No problem.
Yeah, if people have questions, we'll go. We'll start having questions. I'm trying to see if I have the time here. It's 6:09. Leo, how did I do?
You did very wonderfully.
like 6:09? I was on time, right? Like I said, my average workshop, as you've been to it, about 52 hours. So I had to condense it in a few hours. But you know, if people have questions, you can ask it. I'm, you know, like I said, I'm here to provide value. I'm here to support Leo. He has assembled really high caliber people here. I know Rakesh, he's a good friend of mine. I see him. He's right now in the islands. He's, you know, that he's living the right life. You know, I don't know how he got out of Canada, but anyways, you know, we'll open it up to questions, and you guys can put it in either in the chat or just I don't know how, Leo, how you doing questions.
Yeah, if anybody, they can simply unmute. Otherwise, they can even wave your hand so that we can allow them to talk.
Rakesh,
Hey, Alfonso.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good. So finally, you know, we see here. Hey, the question, like, you know, I'm also kind of trying to get into the real estate, not maybe a multi-unit, rather going to, you know, flipping the houses. And I don't know if that is your area you deal with, you know, like, you know, buy, fix, and then flip.
Yeah.
So do you have anything geography-wise, if I'm focusing only in Canada, what you will recommend, like location-wise? Do you think like in a particular province, like in Ontario or maybe, you know, the British Columbia or Quebec, or do you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, so this is a good question, Rakesh. I get that question all the time. I do training and mentoring, coaching on real estate and business. And people will say, you know what, Alfonso, can you kind of share with me what's the best neighborhood? Like, give me the juice. People are like, just give me you know, what do you think? And so my answer is always the same. The best place to start investing in anything is in yourself and getting the education. Most people don't know how to identify a deal, whether they want to flip, they want to do wholesale, they want to buy apartment buildings. Most people don't know how to identify a deal. And so what happens is they get excited, they don't invest in themselves, and they go out there and they start trying to learn this stuff on the fly. And as you know, real estate is not cheap. And so they can end up losing a lot of money. So the very first place, I'm not going to give you a geographical place. I would say invest in yourself, get yourself mentorship, coaching, get yourself in a position where you are learning from someone that knows what they're doing. I've done a lot of flips, and that's a component of real estate. But we look at all the different aspects of real estate, not just flips, but we do wholesaling and apartment buildings. So maybe we can have a conversation outside of this.
Okay, thank you, Alfonso.
Good.
Thank you. And I think you're moving more and more north. I remember when me and Leo came to Ottawa to attend this entrepreneur. I think you bought some building in Saskatchewan and you moved some guy. I remember you and your wife.
Yeah, I moved the couple from Ottawa to Saskatchewan to manage that. Yeah.
That's right. Good. Yeah.
You see, what's sexy about real estate is cash flow. Cash flow is sexy. And so apartment buildings provide the cash flow, and cash flow to me equals freedom. And so I buy properties all across Canada, from New Brunswick all the way to Alberta.
Good. Thanks, Alfonso.
Yeah, no problem. Daniel.
Hi, Alfonso. I have a question. Thank you very much for your presentation. I could relate a few episodes with you. It was fun. Interesting.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah, that's good. As they say, what doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. And,
absolutely. Well, that's what we're telling people right now. You know, with COVID, some people are really going through a tough time, and you know, the reality is, and this is the truth, we're all going to get through this. All of us. At some point, it's going to be over and it's going to be behind us. Here is the real question: how are you going to look like at the other side? Are you going to be better off or worse off than you were before all of this COVID stuff changed our life?
Mm-hmm. And a question, if you can summarize, what would be the top, say, 5 good decisions in your life that helped you, especially with the real estate, like top 5 resources or top 5 leads or events?
Okay, so here, being from Latin America, you know, I came here. My mom's a single mother. We didn't, you know, she came when we arrived in Canada. We had about $100. You know, basically that was our entire net worth, $100. We had nothing, and you know, a lot of immigrants. We all come the same. We all have similar stories. My mom lived, you know, a tough life in Latin America, going through, you know, war and, you know, illegal detainment, you know, fighting with governments, hiding from governments. You know, my dad left when I was 2 years old. And so my mom, we finally came to Canada, and everything in my life growing up was about scarcity. My mom was in a point of contraction. You know, she was scared to, you know, invest. She was scared to, you know, do something that is risky. She was scared for us to be deported and have to go back home. And she would say, Alfonso, you have to follow all the rules here. And everything was scared. And at the same time, there was a belief that other people that had money or had wealth were trying to rip us off, or they got there somehow because they were dishonest or what have you. And so I had those paradigms, and those paradigms are really, really deep in our heads, because a lot of us, you know, coming from developing countries, that's kind of the mindset of a lot of people. There's not an abundance mindset. It's very much contracting, which is normal, because the biggest portion of the population is trying to survive. And so everything is small in contraction. And so going back to your question, Daniel, some of the decisions that I had to make were up here, right? Because I want to be expanding, and I believe in expansion. You cannot expand and contract at the same time, right? And so whenever it came to go to the next level, because there's many different levels, you always have to start with investing in yourself. And that was one of the biggest obstacles that I had going back to when I was 24 years old, where I had to invest into education and a coach and a mentor to take me to the next step. And so, yeah, Leo, that's our time.
No, you carry on a bit. I'm just waving the hand to the next speaker. He's supposed to start by 6:30.
Oh, okay.
You carry on.
Well, you know, I want to answer Daniel's question. So what the biggest, you know, kind of like life-changing moment is the moment that I started to invest in myself and getting the proper education, tapping into the proper resources of somebody that already had been there. And then that caused me to expand. Now, going back to decisions in real estate, once I have the education and the knowledge, now I feel the confidence. Because when it came to buying bigger assets, like 36 units, 50 units at a time, I'm looking at a property right now, 248 units. It's not about the money. The money's easy. You know, if you find a really good asset, it provides good cash flow, you'll find the money. But it's your mind that does not allow you to expand. So fear, right? Fear comes in. It's like, oh my God, maybe this is too much for me. And so this is where we start to contract. And so if I didn't have that confidence, you know, and I wouldn't be able to move forward. But now when it comes to make the big decisions, the decisions that matter, you are going to feel a little bit of fear. And so you have to do it anyways. You have to keep moving forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. You cannot expand and contract at the same time. It's a great question, Daniel. Leo, I'll let you.
Alfonso, the last one, very quick one. You know, the way you are expanding, you know, really, you know, give us energy, and you are an ultimate entrepreneur. What is your ultimate goal? Where you want to go? Where you are heading to with this expansion? How many units? How many buildings? How many million, and why? Maybe quick one.
Okay, that's a good question. So I guess I have a 5-year goal and 10-year goal in terms of real estate, right?
Okay.
So I have goals in many different aspects of my life: health, wealth, things that I want to do with a social contribution, like I talked about my foundation. So I have many different goals, things that I want to achieve. But when it comes specifically to real estate, my goal is to get to 7,500 doors within the next 5 years, and then 75,000 within the next 10 years. What makes a good goal? For people that are listening here today, what makes a good goal? A good goal is something that scares you, but also excites you at the same time. It needs to scare you just as much as it excites you. But it's not about the goal. It's the person you will become on the way to the goal that matters. And so
Scary.
I'm more excited. What's that?
Yeah. I said it's scary excitement. Scary excitement.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm excited to see, to see the end result, to see, like $75,000 to me scares the shit out of me. And I'm sorry to curse on here. I'm not sure if Leo would allow it, but I needed to emphasize the power of how much that scares me, right? And so, that's worthy. That's a goal that's worthy of me to pursue, not because of the money, not because of anything, but to see the person that I'm going to become as a result of it, and all the people that I can help and support on the way.
Thank you. That's a big one. Good one. That is scare. That gives confidence us to at least, extend, that your scaredness to the next level. Thank you, Alfonso.
You know what? This is if we're not scared, we're not growing.
Sure.
Because to grow is to become uncomfortable.
Sure.
And so being uncomfortable is stepping into the unknown. And unknown is scary, but you still have to do it anyways.
Good.
Well said, Alfonso. It's an amazing time. Of course, if people are interested to learn more or start any courses, you can contact Alfonso, or otherwise you can send a mail to me. I will put it to him so that we can have something. The next event, of course, Alfonso will be having.
Thank you, Leo, for putting this together. By the way, I really appreciate you. You're doing an incredible thing. Here. You're providing a lot of value to many people, and it was my pleasure to come here and be a part of this with you.
It's a pleasure too. Thank you so much for your time, and of course everybody enjoyed.